At flipsidegaming.com you can use the promo code LVD to get a 10% discount on orders over $10, including the exclusive Richard Kane Ferguson playmats featuring art such as the memorable Dakon Blackblade, so get yours today. Hello and welcome to another episode of Wacky Wednesday, a weekly series where we explore wacky deck ideas in both Standard and Modern, and this week we're taking a look at a giant Reanimator deck in Standard, which is looking to discard giant creatures and then get them back from the graveyard using Liliana, Death's Majesty, as its main reanimation spell. Let's take a look at the entire deck list, starting out with the 1-drops, where we have 4 copies of Fatal Push, a nice cheap efficient removal spell to get rid of opposing creatures. We also have 2 copies of Abrade that can deal 3 damage to a creature or destroy an artifact. And then we get to our card filtering cards that also serve as discard outlets. We've got 4 copies of Cathartic Reunion, which is discard 2 and then draw 3, and 4 copies of Tormenting Voice, which is discard 1 and then draw 2. So these kind of help us put our expensive creatures in the graveyard so we can reanimate them with Liliana, and also just provide some consistency, helping us look for the missing combo pieces. Then we get to the 3-drops, where we have 2 copies of Never to Return as a nice answer to both creatures and planeswalkers, and then for 4 mana we get to cast Return from the graveyard, which can let us exile a card from a graveyard and then make a 2/2 zombie token. So it's also just a useful card to discard to cards like Tormenting Voice and Cathartic Reunion, since we still get the value from the return part to make a 2/2 zombie token. Then we have 3 copies of Skittering Surveyor, a 3-mana 1/2 creature. When it enters the battlefield, we get to search our library for a basic land and put it into our hand. So this helps us fix our mana and provide a little bit of incremental advantage as well. And if we play the Surveyor, get a land, we can always discard the land to a Cathartic Reunion or Tormenting Voice and then draw another card instead. So just provides a nice little bit of card advantage and also provides a chum blocker in case we need to protect our Liliana. Then we have 1 copy of Ravenous Chupacabra, an additional copy in the sideboard as well, as a nice removal spell on a stick that synergizes nicely with Liliana, since we can always reanimate the Chupacabra if we need access to a removal spell right away, and also provides a body which we can use to chum block with or maybe pressure opposing planeswalkers. Then we have 4 copies of Liliana, Death's Majesty, which is a centerpiece of the deck. Her main mode here is to -3 and then get back a giant creature from our graveyard, or we can just use the +1 mode to make zombies and mill ourselves. And of course, milling ourselves is awesome since we have lots of spells that we can cast from the graveyard, including Never to Return and Honored Hydra, which we'll get to in a second. Then we have 2 copies of Demonlord Belzenlok, which is a nice reanimation target as a 6-mana 6/6 with Flying and Trample, with the powerful Enter the Battlefield ability that makes us exile the cards from the top of our library until we exile a non-land card, and then we get to put that card into our hand, and then we lose 1 life, and we get to repeat the process if the card revealed was a card with converted mana cost 4 or greater. So if we reveal expensive cards, we get to draw multiple cards, and sure, we might lose a bit more life, but who cares when we're drawing a ton of cards. Then we have 4 copies of Combustible Gearhulk, which is our main reanimation target, a 6-mana 6/6 with First Strike, and another very powerful Enter the Battlefield ability. So the opponent gets the choice of either letting us draw 3 cards, or we get to reveal the top 3 cards of our library, put them in the graveyard, and then the opponent will be dealt damage equal to the total converted mana cost of the cards revealed. So that can quickly add up if we're playing all these expensive spells in our deck. And also a card like Never to Return, which is a Aftermath card. The total converted mana cost is 7, since you get to add both halves. So that also adds up a lot of damage. So our opponent can easily take more than 10 damage if they decide not to give us the extra cards, which of course is a nice deal since we still get a 6/6 with First Strike after everything's done. So Combustible Gearhulk, a great card in the deck. Then we have 4 copies of Honored Hydra, which is great in our deck, a 6-mana 6/6 with Trample, but it also has Embalm for 3 and a green, so we get to embalm the Hydra from the graveyard for just 4 mana, which of course is a nice synergy with Cathartic Reunion and Tormenting Voice, since we can simply discard the Hydra on turn 2 or 3, and then get it back on turn 4 as a nice 6/6 with Trample for just 4 mana. And if we happen to mill over the Hydra with Liliana, that's also a nice synergy, and of course the Hydra being 6 mana as converted mana cost means that it adds a lot of damage with the Combustible Gearhulk as well. And then last but not least, we have 2 copies of Darigaaz, a 7-mana 7/7 with Flying, Trample and Haste, and if Darigaaz would die, it gets exiled instead with 3 egg counters, and at the beginning of our upkeep we get to remove an egg counter, and then if all counters are removed, Darigaaz gets returned to the battlefield, where it can keep attacking once again. Then going over the mana base, we are a 3-color deck, which makes things a little more difficult, but our primary color is black since we need to cast Fatal Push early, and we need double black for Liliana, that's Majesty. So our deck doesn't necessarily support double green and double red early on, but we can definitely cast some double black spells, which also informed our sideboard decisions. So let's take a look at our lands. We have 4 copies of Blooming Marsh, which enters the battlefield untapped if it's one of our first 3 lands. Then we have a total of 6 cycling lands, 4 canyons, and 2 Sheltered Thicket, which also synergize nicely with the check lands for Dragonskull Summit and for Woodland Cemetery, which will enter a battlefield untapped if we control any of the cycling lands, or if we control one of the corresponding basic lands. And we have a few basics, 3 swamps, 1 forest, and 2 mountains, and we also need a decent amount of basics to go get with the Skittering Surveyor. Then let's quickly go over the sideboard, where we have 3 copies of Duress against control decks, 2 Abrades for the artifact-based decks, a Naturalize, which can both answer artifacts and enchantments, 2 Doomfalls, which is great against control decks that might rely on a creature sideboard plan, a Crushing Canopy, which shines against the blue-white control deck that might bring in Lyra Dawnbringer, and that has a lot of enchantments we can also destroy, 2 Golden Demise against go-white creature decks, another Never to Return if we need more spot removal for maybe bigger creatures, another Ravenous Chupacabra, which also fills the same role. Then we have a Carnage Tyrant against control decks and a Vraska Relic Seeker as another top-end threat, which also can get rid of enchantments, so it's also pretty useful against the more controlling decks. So that's the deck. Now let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Alright, we're on the play, and this hand seems okay. Can discard our Darigaaz to the Tormenting Voice, and if we find a 3rd land we get to Surveyor, which helps us play Liliana. Let's lead with the Canyon. And then these Surveyors also do a good job of protecting Liliana. Turn 1, land our Elves. Ooh. Never mind, I think we just Tormenting Voice discarding the Hydra here. Alright, found the lands. Good. Opponent on red-green. And a Resilient Kenra. So some sort of aggro deck. They get to hit us for 3. Next turn we get to Surveyor, find a land, and then Hydra into Liliana. So don't mind our position here. Let's get a mountain. Earthshaker Kenra can prevent Surveyor from blocking. They don't have double red yet, so Phoenix and Glorybringer aren't a concern yet. But we are taking 5. Alright, let's get back our Hydra. And say go. We'll leave the Surveyor on defense in case they have another cannot block effect. So we're already down to 12. So a big flying creature could be a problem here. Opponent does have the 2nd red source, but it's tapped, so not for this turn. And another Resilient Kenra. Alright, they could pump the Earthshaker Kenra so that the Surveyor isn't a great blocker. Pumping the Auto Resilient Kenra instead could indicate that they have like a Magma Spray or an Abrade to finish off the Hydra. I think we just want to play around a potential Abrade here. So I'll block like this. Instead it's a Rigging Runner. Alright, so could have also killed the other Kenra if we wanted to. Ooh, Chupacabra, that's a nice one. Might actually be better than playing Liliana here. Chupacabra, kill Rigging Runner, and then next turn play Liliana. Don't think we're at the point yet where we can attack with the Hydra, but we're getting there. Killing Llanowar Elves was also a consideration, since that way they don't get to play a Glorybringer if they top deck one, and they're further away from eternalizing their Kenras. Ooh, Antcrop Crasher. Can exert and deal quite a bit of damage now. think we're just blocking the Crasher here. And then next turn we get to Liliana, minus on Chupacabra, kill a Kenra. It's pretty good as well. And the turn after we just get to hardcast our 7-drop. Now we might be in a spot where we kill the Llanowar Elves instead. Say go. Protect the Liliana. And next turn play the dragon. No attacks from the opponents. And let's plus. Play our dragon. And attack with the 2 large creatures here. Alright, opponent concedes, you get to go to sideboarding against red-green aggro. So how do we want to sideboard? Probably want to bring in our additional copies of Abrade. Golden Demise against the Llanowar Elf deck is probably worth it, although our opponent could just go big enough where if they play a Glorybringer or a Phoenix, Golden Demise isn't good enough. But they did also show us Ankrop Crasher, so I think Golden Demise is going to be fine. Chupacabra's great. And I think a Never to Return might also be worth it. Can also exile a Kenra from the graveyard. And then probably want to shave some number of looting effects since we won't have time to play them. So I think we get rid of 2 Reunions. I think we keep Demonlord as it can block opposing flyers. Get rid of 2 Gearhulks and a Darigaaz. Maybe shave 1 Surveyor. Alright. How about this opening hand? Seems okay. We can discard Demonlord to the Reunion to fuel Liliana. Meanwhile our opponent with a turn 1 Ringer Runner. Let's play the Thickets. And next turn we might fail push something instead of Reunion. We'll see. Turn to Resilient Kenra. Alright. Get to take advantage of the turn 1 creature here. Blooming Marsh. Let's play that one instead. And then probably fail push the Kenra here. We'll see. Ankrop Crasher would be bad news. Yep, there it is. So we're in a bit of trouble here. A Golden Demise would have been pretty great here on turn 3. Ooh, Chupacabra is a nice one as well. So I think we're Reunion, discarding Demonlord and probably a land. And we should probably just get rid of the tap land here. Alright. Some reasonable cards here. Play Blooming Marsh, say go. Next turn play Chupacabra into Liliana. Hope that's good enough. Opponent gets in for 4. And there's a Hydra, which combines nicely with Tormenting Voice. But now we just have to Chupacabra. Kill the Crasher. And then, yeah, Glorybringer next turn would be an issue. Next turn we do get access to our Demonlord. Opponent cycles a Thicket. No attacks with the Ringer Runner. Alright. Don't mind our spot here. Play Liliana and get back Demonlord. Next turn can Tormenting Voice discarding Hydra, get back Hydra. Let's see how much damage we take. Oh wow, we took quite a bit of damage here. But at least we did draw a lot of cards. Even have to discard to hand size, we'll discard the Hydra. So now we want to play as defensively as possible. Definitely have all the resources we need. 6 mana for a Kenra. But they can't really attack into the demon. And picked up another Abrade. So got a total of 6 mana, so probably just want to get back Hydra, keep up Abrade, and then plus Liliana. and mill over a Golden Demise. Say go. Definitely want to keep our flyer on defense in case of Glorybringer. Opponent cycles a Thicket. And another Kenra. Could target the original one. And they're attacking us. I think we just block with a zombie and the Chupacabra. And then finish it off with an Abrade. And then we also have Liliana minus on Chupacabra as an option. So end of turn, Abrade the Kenra. Untap. Ooh, Gearhulk as well. What to do, what to do. I don't think we need to minus on Chupacabra yet. I'll just make another token. And then play a Gearhulk. Opponent lets us draw more cards. And I think now I can afford to attack with the Hydra. Our opponent doesn't have enough mana or cards in hand to be able to play both Crasher and a Hasty Flyer. Get to discard some Hydras for value. And next turn we might just be able to attack for lethal. There's an Earthshaker Kenra. Prevents the zombie from blocking. Opponent can technically deal us 1 point of damage, but they decide not to go for it. Alright, untap. How much damage can we do? I guess we can still get there, just kill 2 of the opponent's creatures. Attack with everyone. If they chump Gearhulk, then they still take 14. So that works. And I guess we can also just get back a Chupacabra to make it easier. Get back Chupacabra. Kill one of the Kenras. And then we have at least 2 removal spells in hand for the remaining 2 creatures. And that does it. Alright, managed to beat the red-green aggro onto the next one. Alright, we're on the draw. I think this is a keep. Can discard Gearhulk to the Reunion, set up our Liliana. That's where we want to be. Turn 1 Minister of Inquiry, so this is some sort of Godfarer's Gift deck. Don't know if it's blue-white or blue-red. Let's play a tapped Summit. Say go. Another Minister. Alright, Skittering Surveyor is going to be a nice one next turn. I think we just want a Reunion here. Discarding another Reunion and a Gearhulk. Opponent uses Minister. Alright, so it's the blue-white version, which is going to try and use Refurbish to get back Godfarer's Gift. Fatal Push is a nice one for next turn. Can Fatal Push plus Reunion if we want to. And our opponents already milled their Godfarer's Gift, but they don't have any white mana yet in play. Minister attacks for 1. So, given that they attacked us for 1 probably means they aren't too interested in milling themselves, so maybe using Fatal Push is not really necessary here. So instead we could just play Skittering Surveyor and make sure we can cast Liliana on turn 5. Yeah, it's probably worth it here. And I'll get a Swamp. Say go. Alright, let's hope our opponent doesn't have Plains into Refurbish. There's a Plains. And there's a Refurbish. Alright. At least they don't have anything too scary in the graveyard yet, but that might change here. Opponent mills a Champion of Wits. Draw 4, discard 2. Yeah, it's pretty good here. Don't have an Abrade currently in hand. Maybe would have been better for us to use Cathartic Reunion last turn to look for an Abrade. Could still do that this turn, I guess. Opponent discarded 2 Angel of Inventions, so yeah, definitely need to dig for an Abrade here as our only hope. And we might not even have the untapped red land here, since we don't have a swamp or a mountain in play. So we have a few options. We can just cycle the Sheltered Thicket, that way we for sure still have the red mana to cast the Abrade if we draw it. Or we can Cathartic Reunion, but then we need to find both untapped red mana and an Abrade. I think I like my chances better just cycling the Sheltered Thicket here. Alright, did not find the Abrade, so yeah, that's probably game here. Alright, let's go to sideboarding against blue-white Godfarer's Gift, where we get to bring in Naturalize, get to bring in 2 more Abrades, Duress is okay. Vraska I like as well. And we could also bring in Doomfall. Let's see, Chupacabra is okay, not amazing. Then Fatal Push is mostly just to kill Minister of Inquiries. Don't think I like that too much. Never to Return is also not great. Can probably shave one Darigaaz. Alright, let's try something like this. Would like to be on the play. And yeah, I'll keep. I've got an Abrade, which is the most important card. And then lands and spells, so I'll keep. Let's lead with a tap land. Next turn we can Blooming Marsh. Either play Reunion or Tormenting Voice, not sure yet which one. Alright, picked up a Liliana, that's nice. So we could just discard a Doomfall, since we already have the Abrade for a gift. Although Doomfall can still be useful just getting rid of, let's say, an Angel of Inventions that can pressure Liliana. I think I'll just go for the Reunion instead here. Discarding Doomfall and Tormenting Voice. Alright, more Tormenting Voices and Reunions. So we can keep cycling those. If our opponent keeps up 2 mana, then we need to keep Negate in mind. Instead it's a Walking Ballista for 1, that's fine. Alright, nice, so now we get to Reunion. Discarding Reunion and Hydra. Keep the Tormenting Voice, which is a bit more precise than Cathartic Reunion. Play Cemetery, say go. Next turn we get to get back a Hydra. Start pressuring our opponents. And if we find an untapped land, we get to Liliana. Ballista gets in for 1. And the Champion of Wits, sure. Discards 2 Godfarer's Gift, alright. I don't think we need to keep up Abrade since the opponent doesn't have any super powerful creatures in the graveyard yet, so if their play next turn is Refurbish, at most they can get back Walking Ballista. I guess they could use Walking Ballista to kill their own Champion of Wits, to get back Champion of Wits, but I think I'm okay with that. So now the question is, do we Skittering Surveyor, or do we get back the Hydra from our graveyard? I think we want to get back the Hydra to start pressuring our opponent. And then next turn we might just Skittering Surveyor, get a land, keep up Abrade. That seems good. So let's see if our opponent has a Refurbish here, or if they do something else. Alright, no Refurbish, opponent says go. Alright, let's Surveyor. And probably just get a Swamp. Attack for 6. And a Sell the Wreckage, sure. And get a Mountain. Say go. And next turn we get to Liliana, start making zombies. Another Walking Ballista. Opponent maybe keeping up Negate. Ooh, there's a Vraska, that's a nice one. So I think, again, I want to keep up Abrade at all costs. So I think we lead with Surveyor here. And then we can bait out a Negate by playing Tormenting Voice, perhaps. And I'll discard Liliana here. And this probably baits out the Negate. Nope, it does not. Just say go here. Don't want to tap out. Keep up our Abrade. Opponent sacrifices Walking Ballista. And a second time. And there's a Refurbish. So now I didn't have a stop on main phase, so unfortunately our opponent gets a creature for free that they shouldn't have gotten here. That's unfortunate. I'll block the Champion of Wits, take 4. Alright, so we would be in a much better spot without the Walking Ballista in play, but we'll make it work. So, I think we just want to Liliana, make a zombie. And then play the Blooming Marsh, keep up Abrade still. And then next turn we get to Vraska, and still keep up Abrade. Not a Refurbish, this time we do have the stop. So our opponent's not gonna get us a second time. Alright, Walking Ballista, Can attack Liliana, we'll chump. We can even Tormenting Voice, discarding Gearhulk, get back Gearhulk with Liliana. That sounds pretty appealing. Alright, find a Hydra as well. So let's minus on the Gearhulk. Opponent's probably gonna take the damage. And they just take 4, revealing double Duress, Tormenting Voice. And then we'll play a Vraska. And I think we just make a pirate instead of killing the Walking Ballista, since the Walking Ballista isn't really bothering us too much. And we probably want to keep some number of lands in hand in case we pick up another Cathartic Reunion, so we have cards to discard. Alright, opponent with Refurbish number 3. Fair enough. So let's see if they can beat our Planeswalkers here. Discard Angel of Invention, Minister of Inquiries. Yeah, those are some good ones. But we do have a Vraska in play that can kill the Godfarer's Gift. So I think we start by attacking with the Gearhulk. Opponent takes it. Then we will plus with a Liliana. Ooh, Darigaaz. That can come back next turn. Minus Vraska on the Godfarer's Gift. Get back a Hydra from our graveyard. And we could cast a Hydra from hand using the treasure. A little bit concerned about a potential Fumigate from the opponent, and I don't think there's a real reason to go for it, since we'll already have lethal next turn anyways, so I'll just say go. Could have also opted to just cast a Hydra instead of embalming one. Alright. Our opponent also showed a Cellar Wreckage, so we probably need to respect that here as well, so going for Darigaaz might not be the best idea. So I think we just want to kill the Walking Ballista with Vraska, and then attack with the Pirates and the Hydra. Make them use a Cellar Wreckage. Instead it's a cast out on the Hydra, sure. Let's take out the Minister. And then we'll plus Liliana, and then just cast a Hydra. And I'm fine playing one more land here. Alright, opponent scoops it up. On to game 3. Do we change anything? Don't think so. Alright, this hand's quite good. We've got an Abrade to answer a gift. And we have Reunion or Tormenting Voice to discard the Hydra. And lands to cast everything. No turn 1 play. Let's play a Thicket. So now we need to keep a negate in mind if we try and go for Tormenting Voice or Reunion. But our opponent's just gonna tap out for a Walking Ballista for 1. Sure. Alright, found a land. So I don't really know what to discard if we were to discard a second card with the Reunion. The upside of playing a Reunion over Tormenting Voice here is in the case where opponents counters the Reunion. Then we would rather play it now as opposed to the Tormenting Voice. I think I'm okay playing the Reunion, discarding Tormenting Voice and Honored Hydra. Alright. Those are some cards. So next turn we can Doomfall to check our opponent's hand, and a turn after we can get back a Hydra from the graveyard. Seems good. And Authority of the Consuls, yeah, that's fine. So our opponent could be keeping up a negate here, in which case we'd rather play the Surveyor as opposed to Doomfall. So yeah, I'll play a Surveyor here. It's not gonna block the Walking Ballista this turn, but that's okay. Still get our value here. Doesn't matter too much which land we get. Think I'll just go for the mountain. Land number 4. Opponent attacks for 1. Refurbish isn't a concern yet since there's no gift in the graveyard. So I think we'll just attack for 1 and then get back the Hydra from the graveyard, which also plays around any potential counterspells. They could have a cast out on the Hydra end of turn, but that's fine. Yep. Our opponent is almost empty-handed, and they don't have a ton of relevant things in play, and we'll get to cast our 6-drop soon, so I like our position. So we could bait out a negate by casting Tormenting Voice here, and then we can Doomfall them. I think I like that more. Or we can just Doomfall them in case they have a land in hand, but then they probably would not have played the farmland instead of cycling it. So yeah, I think I Tormenting Voice here, discarding a Canyon. Alright, they let it happen. Drew into the Hydra, and now we have this interesting decision where we could play land Doomfall to maybe take an Angel of Invention, or we could play a tap land so next turn we get to play one of our 6-drops. I think we still want to Doomfall to play it safe, and then next turn we might cycle a land or keep up Abrade. So we did indeed suspect that they had a negate in hand, but they were able to counter the Doomfall, so they wanted to protect the last card in their hand, which is pretty important to them. It's not an Angel of Invention, cycle a farmland, so who knows, maybe it's just a Godfarer's Gift, but then our opponent probably doesn't cycle the farmland. Could be a Refurbish, not sure yet. Alright, so not a ton of options here. Let's just play Surveyor, get a land, play a tap Blooming Marsh, and then probably cycle the Canyon. End of turn. While we get to keep up our Abrade. Opponent gains a life. We'll get a Swamp. Play a Blooming Marsh, say go. Could also kill the Walking Ballista, but I'm not too concerned about the Walking Ballista here. Yeah, we'll let that happen. Ballista gets in for 2. Opponent does nothing. We'll cycle the Canyon. Untap. Alright. Think it's time to play the Gearhulk over Vraska. Don't want to run Vraska into a counterspell. And again, I'm not too concerned about a potential Godfarer's Gift or Refurbish. Oh. Opponent has a negate. That's fine. Say go. And our opponent pumps up the Ballista and shoots down a Surveyor. That's fine. Strategic planning. Looking for some action. So it could be that when we cast a Doomfall they just had 2 negates in hand, which would make sense. No attack with the Ballista. I actually meant to cast a Combustible Gearhulk last turn instead of Vraska, but accidentally clicked on the wrong card. Alright, let's go ahead and play the Gearhulk. Opponent goes for the damage and did not get anything too exciting in the graveyard. Say go. Cycle this Canyon end of turn. Again, I'm not gonna kill the Ballista since we want to keep at least one answer to potential Godfarer's Gift in hand at all times. And a hard cast Angel of Invention, sure. Makes 2 tokens. Ballista attacks. Alright, now I think I'm fine killing the Ballista actually. Could get in trouble if our opponent hard casts a Godfarer's Gift, but we might just be losing on the board otherwise. Untap, find a Duress. Alright, that's good. Check out our opponent's hand. Double Fumigate. Alright, let's take one of them. So definitely don't want to overextend on this board. Let's cycle the Canyon. Ooh, Liliana. So what can we get back? We can get back the Demonlord. Seems good. Let's play Liliana. And then we can minus getting back the Demonlord. And just play defense. Finds a Cathartic Reunion. Alright. Opponent can kill Liliana, but then we're still left with Demonlord and Gearhulk. So in the end, the Authority did something here. Opponent now fumigates the board. That's fine. Alright, so now we can Reunion, discarding Hydra and land. Or we can just keep the Hydra to hard casts, since a land doesn't have a ton of value anymore. Yeah, I think I'll actually discard the lands here. Alright, find more Hydras and Naturalize, so that's nice. So now we can Reunion, discarding both Hydras. And then get one back right away. Ooh, and more action here, so kind of going off. Get back a Hydra. Say go. Strategic planning. Still no Godfather's Gift in the graveyard. And a search for Ascanta, which we can naturalize if we want to. So first we can play Liliana. Get back Demonlord. And draw Cathartic Reunion. And we'll naturalize the search for Ascanta. Attack for 6. Say go. Still a ton of action in hand and in the graveyard. Angel of Invention, sure. We've got the Demonlord to protect Liliana. Think we start by attacking with the Hydra. Opponent takes it. Plus Liliana. Reunion. Discarding Hydra and lands. And play Gearhulk. And a tap land. Alright. 12 cards in library, so we do have to be careful not to plus our Lilianas too much. Opponent says go. Can check their hand with Doomfall. Just a land. Alright. And now attack with everyone, Abrade the Angel, and our opponent scoops it up. Alright, so managed to beat Blue-White Godfather's Gift. On to the next one. Alright, we're on the play. And this hand's okay. We've got some removal. We've got a Reunion that can discard a Demonlord. So probably want to lead with the Canyon here. And then next turn a Blooming Marsh into Reunion. And I think I'll discard the Thickets and the Demonlord here. Alright, drew more lands and Lilianas, that's good. Opponent cycles a cast out. Alright, looks like blue-white control. Let's play Cemetery, say go. So if we knew we were up against blue-white, we would have probably discarded the Abrade instead of the Thicket, since the newer versions of blue-white don't play any Gearhulks anymore, so Abrade is pretty dead. And Fatal Push is also not a great draw here. Alright, let's hope our Liliana resolves, I guess. Opponent cycles a farmland. Yeah, let's just jam a Liliana. Minus, return Demonlord, and draw some cards. Alright, finds a Surveyor. We'll say go. Might see an end of turn cast out on Liliana. Nope, a blink of an eye bouncing the Demonlord, sure. Probably implies they have an Essence Scatter in hand. And the Ferry. Bounces Liliana, but we have another one. I guess we could just play a Demonlord Belzenlok instead here, but I think I just want to play the Liliana instead here. Make a zombie. And this also mills the Liliana that was tucked on top. But as long as they don't have a cast out for Liliana, that's fine. They already cycled one. I think they have 2 more left in the deck. The Ferry pluses. And Gideon. Sure, pluses on the zombie. So wouldn't be able to pressure to Ferry. Opponent untaps 2 lands. And a blink of an eye on Liliana. Draw Fatal Push. So this is not ideal, since we only get to play 1 spell unless we want a double Surveyor, which doesn't sound all that appealing. I think we would prefer to replay Liliana as opposed to the Demonlord here, even though it's more likely for the opponent to be able to answer the Demonlord with Essence Scatter as opposed to answer Liliana. But I think just getting Liliana down is pretty important here. Alright, and we mill the Hydra, that's great. And we can also reanimate a Gearhulk next turn, so if Liliana stays in play, I'm liking our chances. Teferi pluses. And Gideon goes into creature form and attacks Liliana. We'll jump with the zombie. Let's untap, find another fail push. That's the worst draw in our deck. So first things first, I think we minus Liliana, returning the Gearhulk. See what they choose here. Alright, opponent chose damage, and they took a whopping 13 damage, revealing Demonlord and a Never to Return. So now we can get back a Hydra, cast a Surveyor, seems okay. Let's cast a Surveyor first. Get an extra basic out of our deck. Opponent could technically have a disallow for the Embalm here. So first I think we want to attack Teferi for 2 with the zombie. See what they do about it. Opponent could technically have a Gearhulk, in which case we want to Abrade Teferi down to 1. And we'll get back the Hydra, I think. Could also go for the Never to Return in case of a Fumigate, that's a bit better. Yeah, maybe that's worth it. Just make it 2-2 instead of a 6-6 trample. And we'll exile a blink of an eye. And say go. Looks like a pull from tomorrow for 5. Alright. Our opponent could go Fumigate and then kill Liliana with Gideon, which would be annoying. Search Raskanta, that's fine. Teferi pluses. Yep, there's a Fumigate. Well, let's Fatal Push one of our zombies in response. Their opponent doesn't gain 4 life. And Liliana will die here. And then our opponent's gonna start taking over with their Planeswalkers. And now that they get to untap 2 lands, they might have a counterspell for Demonlord Belzenlok. And then the blue-white deck is gonna start taking over. Alright, we've got a Tormenting Voice. I guess we'll play that first. Discarding Fatal Push. Can Tormenting Voice again. Could play 2 Surveyors. Think we Tormenting Voice. Discarding Fatal Push again. And then get back the Hydra. And looks like they're gonna use a disallow here. Alright, say go. But now that the opponent has 2 active Planeswalkers and an Ascanta, it's gonna be very difficult to still win this one. So I think I'll make him show me a counterspell for the Demonlord and then call it a day. Gideon gets in for 4. Play a Demonlord. Gets Essence Scattered. We'll cycle this. Hydra is, I guess, something we can cast and then get back from the graveyard if it gets countered, but it's still gonna get blanked by Gideon or Teferi. Yeah, I think I'm okay calling this a game and then move on to sideboarding. Alright, so how do we want to sideboard? Definitely want to take out the Abrades and Fatal Pushes. Opponent has History of Benalia in their sideboard, but Fatal Push and Abrade still aren't great against those anyways. Duress can come in, Crushing Canopy can come in, and if your opponent does happen to have a Lyra Dawnbringer, then that's also an answer to that one, same as Doomfall. Don't mind the Naturalize, and Vraska and Carnage Tyrant can come in, and then I don't mind another Never to Return to answer the Planeswalkers. Don't mind shaving some number of Cathartic Reunion, since they are pretty susceptible to negates, and discarding 2 without getting to draw 3 is pretty painful. Yeah, I think maybe we just got 3 reunions, keep in 1. So yeah, let's try this. Would like to be on the play, and this hand's keepable. Can discard a land to the Tormenting Voice to hopefully find some action, and then Doomfall is gonna be a useful tool here. Let's lead with Cemetery, say go. Let's play a Tormenting Voice now that our opponent can't counter it. Discarding a Cemetery. Alright, more lands and sideboard cards. Do need to find our action spells at some point. So we could Doomfall here, maybe take a Gideon before they get to cast it, but I think we want to wait until the turn before they get to Teferi. Summit, say go, and then cycle a Thicket end of turn. Search Raskanta instead. Alright, I guess we just Crushing Canopy that end of turn. We could Doomfall now, I guess. And see a hand with Cast Out, Fumigate, Negate, Seal Away the Ferry. They are missing a few lands. Don't really care about Seal Away too much. Fumigate we can play around, so I think it's between Cast Out, Negate and Teferi. Probably just want to take the Teferi, prevent them from getting ahead on cards, and then we'll need to work our way past all these removal spells. Opponent cycles Cast Out to try and hit a land drop, but they fail to do so. Alright, let's play Skittering Surveyor here, which is a nice value play. Get a forest. And then end of turn we can cycle the Thicket. Opponent finds a land. Another Surveyor. And a Reunion. So we know they have the negates for the Reunion, so that's a bit sketchy here. Let's attack for one and then play another Surveyor. Next turn we can play our dragon if we want to, but we know they have a Seal Away and a Fumigate. I think we just keep attacking with these Surveyors. Don't really want to run Darigaaz into a Seal Away at this point. Could run our Reunion into a Negate, I suppose, discarding Never to Return and a land. It's probably fine. Alright, they let it resolve. Could cast the return part here just to make a 2-2, but then they Fumigate. We play Darigaaz, hit them for 7, but then they Seal Away, so don't think that's quite gonna work out yet, so I'll keep the return in the graveyard for now. Alright, Duress can take a Seal Away. They might just negate it, and then they still have the Seal Away in hand, so we might be better off holding the Duress until we find something that we can force through and we know is going to get us value, like let's say a Liliana. If we draw that, then we can Duress and Liliana in the same turn, which is going to work out a lot better, so let's keep attacking for 2. Opponent's down to 15. I think I'll play one more land and then keep the remaining lands in hand in case we need to discard them to our looting effects. Opponent says go without doing anything. Ooh, there's a Gearhulk. Let's attack for 2, play Gearhulk. And maybe we also Duress first, just to check if the coast is clear. So let's Duress. Opponent negates. And let's play Gearhulk. And we can play around Syncopate as well. Resolves. Let's see if they go for damage. No, they let us draw the cards, so they've learned their lesson. And I think we just cycle the Canyon end of turn instead of playing the Tormenting Voice here. So we still know they have Fumigate, Seal Away. If they Fumigate here, we get to hit them with our dragon. They decide not to. Cycle end of turn. Naturalize. Alright, so our opponent likely wants to use Seal Away on the Gearhulk. The problem is if they have a Settled Wreckage and we also play Darigaaz attack, that will not work out for us. So I think we just attack with what we have on board. If they have a Settled Wreckage, so be it. And if they just want to Seal Away the Gearhulk, we can Naturalize a Seal Away and make sure that our Gearhulk can still attack. So in response to the trigger here, we can Naturalize the Seal Away, and this way our Gearhulk is still attacking. Disallowed Naturalize, sure. So now we get to resolve our other Gearhulk. Opponent still takes 2, and let's play another Gearhulk. Opponent again gives us the cards, and now we can Tormenting Voice, discarding the Hydra, I think. And say go. Alright, so we've got a pretty nice board state, and some more threats in hand. Opponent struggling to hit their land drops. So now I don't think we want to go all in into a Cellar Wreckage, so I'll just attack with what we have in play. After they potentially use a Settled Wreckage, we can Liliana. Alright, instead it's Commit to Memory on the Gearhulk. That's fine. So now let's resolve Liliana. And I think we just plus, since there's nothing I really want to get back with the minus ability. And then get back a Hydra to kind of force them to use a Fumigate. Say go. And then next turn we get to Gearhulk from the graveyard with Liliana and play our dragon, which should be game. End of turn cycle. Untap. So let's minus on the Gearhulk. Opponent chooses damage, goes to 1, and we get to play our dragon. And that does it. Alright, on to game 3. So I think I liked our sideboard plan. Don't really want to change anything. Alright, this hand has a few issues. Doesn't have a ton of lands, and if our Tormenting Voice gets negated, we could be in trouble, but yeah, we'll keep. Play a Canyon, say go. Alright, opponent has a tap land, so this Tormenting Voice will resolve. And I think we'll discard the Hydra here. Although, it's also tempting to discard Liliana. If our opponent brought in Sorcerer Spyglass to name Liliana, then having additional copies in hand could be an issue, but the upside on Hydra is pretty high here. Alright, more Tormenting Voices, that's good. So we can discard Liliana. And our opponent concedes. Alright, so they couldn't beat Hydra coming back from the graveyard. I want to thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this gameplay, and as always, have a nice day. I also want to thank all my patrons for supporting the channel, and you can do so yourself as well over at patreon.com/LegenVD, where you get cool rewards for supporting the channel, as well as getting us closer to our goals, where with every goal reached, we will release an additional weekly series. So if you want to see more content, Patreon is the place to go.